Hi, I'm Pastor Brian Hacklander of Centennial United Methodist Church, and it's good to be with you. I want to share a video devotional with you today from Luke chapter 24, where two disciples of Jesus, Cleopas and an unnamed disciple, are traveling together from Jerusalem to their village, their home called Emmaus. It is right after the crucifixion, the death of Jesus, and they are walking into the unknown. Now, that very day, two of them were going to a village 7 miles from Jerusalem called Emmaus, and they were conversing about all the things that had occurred. And it happened that while they were conversing and debating, Jesus himself drew near and walked with them, but their eyes were prevented from recognizing him. Isn't it true that sometimes we only realize that God's presence has been with us after the fact? He asked them, the stranger asked them, "What are you discussing as you walk along?" They stopped, looking downcast. One of them, named Cleopas, said to him in reply, "Are you the only visitor to Jerusalem who does not know of the things that have taken place there in these days?" And he replied to them, "What sort of things?" They said to him, "The things that happened to Jesus the Nazarene, who was a prophet mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, how our chief priests and rulers both handed him over to a sentence of death and crucified him. But we were hoping that he would be the one to redeem Israel. And besides all this, it is now the third day since this took place. Some women from our group, however, have astounded us. They were at the tomb early in the morning and did not find his body. They came back and reported that they had indeed seen a vision of angels who announced that he was alive. Then some of us went to the tomb and found things just as the women had described, but him they did not see." And he said to them, "Oh, how foolish you are! How slow of heart to believe all that the prophets spoke! Was it not necessary that the Messiah should suffer these things and enter into his glory?" Then, beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them what referred to him in all the scriptures. As they approached the village to which they were going, he gave the impression that he was going on farther. But they urged him, "Stay with us, for it is nearly evening, and the day is almost over." So he went in to stay with them. And it happened that, while he was with them at table, he took bread, said the blessing, broke it, and gave it to them. With that their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, but he vanished from their sight. Then they said to one another, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he spoke to us on the way and opened the scriptures to us?" So they set out at once and returned to Jerusalem, where they found gathered together the 11 disciples, and those who were with them, who were saying, "The Lord has truly been raised and has appeared to Simon." Then the two recounted what had taken place on the way, and how he was made known to them in the breaking of the bread. Friends, I hope that you'll notice here that this is a model for prayer. Prayer is a two-way street. It is both speaking and listening, talking and listening. Notice that Jesus draws them out. He asks them, what sort of things, in verse 19, what sort of things happened in Jerusalem in just the past few days? And then he listens to them. And notice that when they get to the village of Emmaus, when they get to the home of the two disciples, he's making like he's wanting to go on, but They say to him, "Stay with us, for it is nearly evening, and the day is almost over." And isn't that our prayer? Can that not be our prayer to God in these days? Stay with us, for it is evening. The day is almost over. Whatever you are facing in your life, whatever we are facing in our lives, we can ask Christ, the risen Christ, to stay with us. And then notice that they sit at table. And this is really a communion passage, folks. So often we think of communion as a meal that points us toward Jesus' suffering and death, and that it does. But it also points us to the risen Christ, because we read, as we read elsewhere, of the 4 things that Jesus does with the bread. He took the bread, he blesses it, he broke it, and he gave it to them. The 4 verbs of Holy Communion. And then their eyes were opened and they recognized him. I hope that you will find the opportunity when we have communion next online, or if you're a part of another church, that when you have the opportunity next to receive communion, that you will take advantage of that. For members of our congregation at the Roseville campus of Centennial United Methodist Church, the next time that we're having communion will be Sunday, May 3rd, and we'll be consecrating the elements online with authorization of our bishop, as we did on Maundy Thursday during our service. So for that service, May 3rd, gather some bread, gather some fruit of the vine, and be ready to have Christ, the risen Christ, be with us. And may we also realize that our eyes are opened anew and we recognize him. And also, one more thing, notice that then when the risen Christ leaves, they say to one another, "Were not our hearts burning within us as he opened the scriptures to us?" I hope that in every encounter with scripture that you have, there will be some sense of your heart burning within you, and that God will speak to you at some level where you need to hear that word. And then I hope that you and I, like Cleopas and his companion, will go and tell in some way, in thought or word or deed, go and tell and be the light of the risen Christ in somebody's life. Thank you for joining me today. God bless you.